And then when we go and say, yeah, I'm just going to do what works for me, that person is going to end up with a lot of loneliness later on. Mm-hmm. In like even superficially, they have friends or fans or whatever it is. And then the other direction carries weight and responsibilities, but it also doesn't have that loneliness that goes with it. And I think that there's an equivalent that developmentally either stretched out over a long period of time where there's hardship, or it's something specific that comes up and the person's like, God, I have to make a choice. And they make a choice, and it's a choice that leads to toxicity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's because they're like, I can deal with this problem and grow, or you know what, I'm going to push the problem away and say that didn't really happen, or just ignore it. And then it eventually will probably come back. And if it doesn't hurt them, then the toxicity will be extroverted onto the people around them.
Right.
Yeah. It's like, who suffers from bad politics? Not the politicians.
Right.
It is all of their constituents.
Right.
Yeah.
That actually makes me think of a conversation we had, Joel, where we were talking about spoiling. And children who are spoiled, their parents are basically front loading their happiness.
Yeah.
Right. It's like they want the child's youth to be filled with happiness and anything that they want. And I think it's a selfish choice on the parents' side because they want to be a part of it and they want to be the ones who provided it. But when you choose to spoil your child and never tell them no, well, as soon as they get out to the world, nobody else is going to do that for them. And so now they have to figure out how to navigate a world where they're completely unprepared for how little everybody else cares about them. And oftentimes they show up with toxic behaviors because they're used to demanding to get what they want, and now nobody cares, so they're just going to have to double down on those behaviors. Whereas if parents choose not to spoil their children, choose to prepare them for the world, well, they might be quote unquote front loading the pain, right? The pain of having to figure all this stuff out and be told no and deal with disappointment and anger and a sense of unfairness and injustice and like all that stuff. Discipline. That's right. Discipline, which is hard to build, but so crucial and critical.
Not punishment, discipline specifically.
That's right.
Yeah.
Discipline meaning that like the ability to hold to a routine, the ability to do things when it's tough to do, like like the little
all of the ISTJ things.
Yeah.
No, I mean the positive, healthy
Right.
ISTJ, like hold to a routine, be disciplined, follow through with your word.
That's right.
Act honorably with
That's right.
integrity.
That's right.
Yes.
And so when you front load that, now they enter the world vastly more prepared. And now you haven't front loaded their happiness. You've allowed them to be able to generate their own when they become adults. So you're the bad guy because you're not giving them everything they want. And you kind of have to take that hit. But you certainly didn't place the happiness at the front and leave them with unhappiness until they figure it out, if they ever do. And basically what you're talking about too is in this choice of, are we going to take responsibility and do the hard integration work of, I'm oversimplifying it by calling it integrating the other side of our driver function, our 3-year-old, right? Because that's like a domino, right? Go integrate the 3-year-old or inferior function. That's a domino that'll kick off this whole, modesty, humility, taking responsibility, finding the other side, like not projecting outward all of the problems, etc. Like that's one of the trigger points or the beginning points of this work. But you can do it in other ways. I mean, a lot of people right now are into like attachment theory, and so they're getting to that same place by asking, "How am I insecurely attached?" And then how is that manifesting in all my relationships, and how do I handle it on my own, right? As opposed to projecting it onto everybody else in every relationship I've ever had. So there's lots of tools for it, but it's basically taking responsibility, and the choice is: do I want to front load all my happiness? Do I want to be able to demand everything I want right now, or a needle, or whine, or bully, or, just manipulate?
Complain, right, deflect,
right.
All of those things.
And not
tell stories. That's
right. And not deal with all the stuff that I need to deal with, and then pay all that price later, either myself or other people in my ecosystem. And now it's like, it's play now, pay later, or pay now, play later. And so where do I want my happiness to be?